So if you're anything like me, you've probably wondered why exactly the New Republic didn't have a standing military. Without their own standing military, the First Order or the Empire, the remnants of the Empire, were easily able to take over the galaxy all over again. And this is a common response or common issue with the Republic that I've had ever since the old Republic days. They never have a standing military ready. And on one hand, I completely understand why exactly they don't have a standing army ready. They wanted to separate themselves from the Empire or separate themselves from whatever opposing force was in the galaxy at the time. And to me, it is just completely irresponsible and it's completely lazy and it's completely disgusting in order to not have a standing military ready at this time. Not having a standing military caused millions upon millions of lives to be lost across the entire galaxy. And this happened time and time and time again. Whole civilizations destroyed, whole cities destroyed, whole planets destroyed, time and time and time again. People enslaved all the time. And these policies were set forward by Mon Mothma and the New Republic after every single war. Mon Mothma, after every confrontation and after every battle and every war, she had a policy set that the Republic would demilitarize. So it wouldn't be seen as something similar to what the Empire was. The policies and acts were enacted because they wanted to distance themselves from the Empire. They didn't want to be seen as the Empire from the rest of the galaxy. They wanted to have cooperation with people and they also wanted them to not be intimidated by them, which I completely understand. Their citizens in the galaxy was probably tired of all the military forces that were occupying their areas, but at the same time, at the end of the day, that is kind of confusing peace with quiet. Just because it's not the First Order, just because it's not the Empire necessarily attacking you, doesn't mean that there's not threats out there. There's threats all over the galaxy at all times. Maybe they could even stop the slave trade that was going on. But ultimately and overall, they would just leave themselves vulnerable for absolutely no reason, leaving them with only a few X-Wings and a few other people that were actually militarily trained. And yes, the Resistance was good at fighting. They were good at guerrilla tactics. They were good at getting surprise jumps on the Empire. But having to rely on that to win is almost like having to throw a Hail Mary in football. The New Republic was basically throwing Hail Marys, and fortunately enough, they were actually winning it. But other than that, I believe it's just completely irresponsible for the pure fact that they don't have a standing military ready to go at any time. And I also see the other argument as well. The clones were very expensive and they also didn't necessarily work out. So unfortunately, they would have to go back to a standing human force or standing alien force as well. Because truthfully, the clones are just way too expensive. During the war, the clones were about 2 million credits each unit. And fighting a war with as many clones as was dying at the time and with how much it took to upkeep the clones and keep them going along with all their ships and gear, that's just a lot of money. So a standing army with humans that are actually a volunteer force or something along those lines would be better. As I said, similar to what the Empire had to do. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. I know this video is completely random, but it's just something that I wanted to get off my chest because it's just one of those thoughts that are always on my head about Star Wars. And it's also one of those topics that I think a lot of people are completely underrating and that nobody really talks about. But anyway, may the Force be with you guys. And as always, have a great rest of your day.